This is a geek out kind of video. I just wanted to share some new gear that I picked up and why I'm stoked about it. What's up, folks? My name's Justin Khanna. I got a new pot. This is an all-clad plus Thomas Keller copper core saucier collaboration pot. It's got a 2-quart capacity, and as fancy as that description sounds, I just really love the shape of this pot because it's essentially a bowl that can go on the heat and it has a handle. A decently comfortable handle too at that. I've been secretly on the hunt for a pot like this for a while. We had a couple of them at the restaurant in Norway, and it's the perfect mix of a saute pan and a sauce pot. It's got sloped sides for glazing pasta, cooking vegetables, but you can also warm larger quantities of purees in this. The edges on this are also flared up, so if you're pouring something from this into another container, you're not gonna have that awkward drip effect. Heats up super fast because of that copper core, but it's also heavy enough so that it will hold the heat as like a small fryer. And for someone like me who's always changing kitchens and traveling a lot, the fact that this pot can substitute for multiple other specialty pots is such a game changer. However, at the normal retail price of just under 250 bucks, I don't think I would buy this at full price. There was a Williams-Sonoma here in Seattle that had like a sidewalk sale, so it was heavily discounted, plus I had a $100 gift card from the family at Christmas, and so in total, I think I ended up paying like $30 US for this pot. So it was a no-brainer. As far as gripes for me, it did not come with a lid. I don't really cook that often with a lid. I'm very likely to do the plastic wrap or aluminum foil maneuver, but that would be the only other thing that would have made this pot stellar. But yeah, all-clad stuff is great. I think the lid is the only gripe that I have about this pot. Second, the piece of gear I'm weirdly excited about. I found a black whisk with a wooden handle at Crate & Barrel for less than $8. And there's a couple of things that made me cop this. First off, I want you to listen to this comparison. I'm sorry if you were wearing headphones for that, but the sound difference to me is very, very obvious. So silicone wrapped balloon wires here, these things are freaking awesome. With metal whisks, and yeah, I know there might be some metal inside of these, but whenever I would see someone like bending the wires of a metal whisk, I'd be like, what are you doing? Well, with this, check it out, it folds. It folds flat, and when I let go of it, it just expands right back into its normal shape. It's almost like it was designed to do this, which then allows me to take it, put it into my knife bag in like a pocket and fold it up, and I don't have that weird whisk bulge effect in my bag. A con that I can see with this, it is a little bit too long for me. I'm thinking about maybe taking about that much of the handle off, just so it's a really small and compact whisk that will fit in tight spaces. Last up, and I know I said I wasn't gonna, but I bought a new knife. For those of you that follow along on Instagram, you know that I spent a couple days in Vancouver while my dad was visiting. We did a little short holiday up there, and I was really dying to check out this knife shop called I and Ohm. So they are more or less the boutique West Coast Corin, if you will. They're much more small, and they focus on smaller production knives. They don't have like the biggest selection of knives, not even close to the level that Corin does, but they import some really, really nice stuff. I was very, very impressed. It is different, and it fills a void in my knife selection that I don't have with any other knives. Plus, I really wanted to support the guys over at Ohm, so I copped it. All right, Justin, enough justifying your purchase. What knife is it? I got a Mitsumi White No. 2 Wagyotu. I must have tried about 10 different knives while I was in that store. I was about 4 millimeters away from buying this crazy nice Damascus blue steel Yanagiba with an amazing custom wood handle. I was so close. And then my practical brain turned on, and it was like, but how much raw fish do you really slice? I went with a knife that I felt I could actually use, and something that was interesting about I and Ohm, they weren't pressuring me into any sort of knife purchase. They were very kind in just offering me the facts on all the knives, educating me on the different makers and the types of wood and steels and all that, and then just kind of allowing me to make my own educated decision. There was no pushy salesmanship that happened at that place. I love that. This steel is also new to me. I don't have a knife that's rocking a White No. 2 steel. I'm very excited to see how this sharpens. I used it for a couple of events so far. Holds up great. The handle is super comfortable in my hand. It's made with rosewood and paca ferrule. There's nothing fancy here, but what really stood out to me was actually the way that the blade joins into the handle. Normally there's sometimes that like interesting gap where you'll see the thin strip that goes into the handle. There's none of that here. It sits really, really flush. Other little details, of course, there's that dark sandwich that leads onto the edge. And speaking of edge, it's actually a taper ground edge, which is something that I personally need to get used to. I don't have a ton of knives that have a taper ground edge, but I'm excited to see, one, how does it sharpen, and two, how does the edge hold up? It is way heavier than the Suisun that I covered on the channel a few weeks ago, and that makes it feel great in the hand. I can work for hours with this knife, and it feels great. Another detail that I noticed with this knife is the signature is actually stamped on the other side of the knife. So normally you'll see it on this side. When I store my knife on my cutting board, I store it like belly up, blade facing away from me, and the tip going to the left, I guess it would be. And you can normally always see the logo of the knife here, but with this one, it's on the other side. So when I store my knife like that, there's nothing. It's just like a blank knife blade. And to each their own with that. Maybe you might like it, maybe you don't, but I just think it's really unique. I don't have any other knives that do that. So that's it, 3 pieces of gear that I've recently got to help out with my cooking. They're all linked up below individually if you want to check them out. Otherwise, it's updated in my new kit page on kit.com. Thanks for hanging out and geeking out. I always appreciate your attention. My name is Justin Khanna. Have a good one.